it is still in the industry, and I've sat in pricing, I've sat everywhere in a pricing industry. I've sat in strategy, finance, marketing, product, and I'm not sure I have a preference, but only I think a personal preference because it was the place that sort of let us make the decisions that were right for the company instead of actually swaying to too much finance, too much sales kind of thing. But I don't know what's right, but I don't think that it should be isolated. And I think that that's something that we're all still trying to solve for in the pricing industry, which is where do we sit and who do we engage with? Who are our stakeholders? Who's the priority? In some organizations, you're just trying to get influence and buy-in, but you're not really making the hard pricing decisions that a senior executive should be making. And so there's a lot of conversation around should the chief commercial officer sit on the executive team and own pricing? And I think for software SaaS companies like that, it still depends on how complicated your pricing is. One of the bigger problems is if you internally try and solve problems and not focus on what the customer needs. So for example, if you build a price all around profit margin and nothing else, what if it's a new product where you're just trying to gain that market share? You can't have a 50% profit margin all the time. And so if we lean that way, we probably price too high. If we allow discounting and it's a sales motion and it's a get the deal in the door, then we've probably priced it too low. And that's where I think the discounting, that knee-jerk discounting, is very dangerous. I do think where discounting is good is if you build it into your price model where you document, hey, this industry is never going to see the same level of value as this industry, so we should always automatically offer a lower price for this industry. Or a volume discount for buying more. Those are good discounts. But just knee-jerk reactions because sales said so is a mistake. And I think if you focus on each department, product can tend to make mistakes as well because they think that every time they add a new widget, that means we have to increase the price. And so I would constantly have people coming to me saying, we just launched this new feature, we have to increase the price. And that's just not how successful pricing works. I've seen it a lot, actually. I think every company that I've worked for, that has happened, and the reaction has been different. One company, they still said, hey, we are the industry standard and people can't live without us. And I think that it took them a couple years to realize that that might not be the way. And this is what, and I think you said John was saying the same thing, this is where pricing is always an evolution and you constantly have to be looking at it. In fact, I'll counsel people to review every quarter and then change once a year if they have to. But in the different stages, when you're just starting out, I think you're just trying to feel your product in the market and start to actually be able to document that value that we talked about. So that might be where